Christmas Day games are supposed to celebrate the NBA's brightest stars. Moments frozen in time, records written into history, and legacies reinforced under the league's biggest spotlight. But sometimes a Christmas game does more than entertain. Sometimes, it quietly redraws the future. On a night when all eyes were on tradition, pressure, and expectation, Stephen Curry reached a milestone few players in NBA history have ever touched. At the same time, the Golden State Warriors revealed signs of life after weeks of instability, while the Dallas Mavericks left the floor with more questions than answers. And behind the final score, deeper stories began to surface. Stories about resilience, aging stars, sacrifice, and what it really takes to survive in a league that never waits. If you love real NBA stories, not just box scores, subscribe right now so you don't miss the next chapter. Hit like if you're watching NBA games this season. Comment the city you're watching from. I read every single one. Now let's break down what really happened on Christmas night. The Golden State Warriors defeated the Dallas Mavericks on Christmas Day, but the final score only tells part of the story. The real headline belonged to Stephen Curry, not because of a dominant performance but because of history quietly being made. With his points against Dallas, Curry reached 26,000 career points, becoming just the 22nd player in NBA history to hit that mark. Among active players, only LeBron James, Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook stand alongside him. It is a reminder of longevity, consistency, and greatness, even on nights when the shooting rhythm isn't perfect. True to form, Curry did not explode offensively in a Christmas game, a trend that has followed him throughout his career. His shooting was uneven, and many of his points came from the free throw line. But when the moment demanded calm, leadership, and precision, Curry delivered what mattered most: control. And control is exactly what the Warriors have been searching for this season. After a brutal stretch marked by losses, inconsistency, and internal frustration, Golden State has now won 3 consecutive games, all at the Chase Center. The team sits at 16 wins in 31 games, holding on to the 8th seed and gradually distancing itself from the chaos below the play-in line. This Warriors team remains unpredictable, but on Christmas night, it looked organized, composed, and connected. One of the most important developments was the return of Al Horford, who had played in only one of the previous 12 games. His presence immediately changed the floor balance. Horford knocked down 4 three-pointers in the first quarter, stretched Dallas defense, and provided veteran stability that this roster desperately needs. Steve Kerr kept his starting lineup unchanged: Stephen Curry, Moses Moody, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, and Quinton Post. The chemistry was noticeable early. Golden State hit 6 three-pointers in the opening quarter, moving the ball efficiently with 9 assists on 12 made shots. Even without Curry dominating, the offense flowed. Dallas, meanwhile, entered the game already short-handed. Kyrie Irving, Derek Lively II, and Dante Exum remained unavailable, but the real blow came in the second quarter when Anthony Davis left the game with groin discomfort. His exit immediately shifted the tone of the night. Despite strong moments from PJ Washington and rookie Cooper Flagg, the Mavericks struggled to maintain consistency. They briefly threatened in the fourth quarter, cutting the deficit to 5 points midway through the period. The arena grew tense. That's when Stephen Curry reminded everyone why milestones don't happen by accident. With Dallas building momentum, Curry calmly rose and drilled a decisive three-pointer, pushing the Warriors' lead back into double digits. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't emotional. It was inevitable. From that point on, the Mavericks had no real answer and Golden State closed the game with authority. For Dallas, the night ended painfully. The loss marked their 20th defeat in 32 games, dropping them to 11th in the Western Conference. Recent progress was erased by familiar problems: injuries, inconsistency, and unanswered questions about direction. For Golden State, however, Christmas offered something rare this season: momentum. Not perfection, not dominance, but belief. Belief that this team, with its aging core and evolving roles, may still have a meaningful story left to tell. While Stephen Curry's milestone captured the headlines, the deeper story unfolding in Golden State runs through a different name: Klay Thompson. Not because of what he did on the court that night, but because of what he is now willing to give up. For the first time in years, Thompson publicly acknowledged something that once felt unthinkable: accepting a reduced role to remain with the Warriors. It is a statement that says far more about the current state of the franchise than any box score ever could. Klay Thompson is no longer the player who scored 60 points in 3 quarters, nor the man who dropped 37 points in a single quarter, still an NBA record. He knows it. The Warriors know it. And now he has finally said it out loud. At 35 years old, coming off devastating ACL and Achilles injuries, Thompson's production has dipped to its lowest level in nearly a decade. He is averaging 16.9 points per game, with his worst three-point percentage of his career, 37.3%. A painful statistic for a player whose legacy was built on shooting excellence. Earlier this season, frustration boiled over. Thompson was benched during a fourth quarter against the Brooklyn Nets, and his body language told the story before his words ever did. For a player accustomed to trust and freedom, the change felt personal. But something shifted. In a candid interview, Thompson admitted he had experienced a revelation. Not about minutes, not about shots, but about identity. He spoke openly about modeling his game after legends like Reggie Miller and Ray Allen. Players who aged gracefully by adapting, not resisting change. Players who remained valuable by understanding when to lead loudly and when to serve quietly. This is the uncomfortable truth facing Golden State. The Warriors are no longer a dynasty sustained by dominance. They are a franchise fighting for relevance through adaptation. And Klay Thompson's willingness to sacrifice may be the clearest signal yet that the locker room understands this reality. Steve Kerr, often criticized for his rotations, now finds himself balancing legacy with necessity. Younger players like Moses Moody and Brandon Podziemski demand minutes. Veterans like Draymond Green oscillate between brilliance and volatility. And through it all, Curry remains the axis, steady, unmovable, essential. What made the Christmas victory significant was not just the win, but the absence of chaos. No technical fouls spiraling out of control. No visible internal fractures. Just a team executing within its limits. The Warriors outscored Dallas decisively when it mattered, not because of overwhelming talent, but because of collective discipline. That is not accidental. It is cultural. Meanwhile, the Mavericks left the night with alarms blaring. Anthony Davis's injury once again raised questions about durability and roster construction. Dallas has now lost 4 of its last 6 games, slipping further from playoff security. Golden State, by contrast, sits awkwardly but purposefully in the middle, not elite, not irrelevant. And that middle ground is where seasons are defined. The Western Conference is unforgiving. One strong month can resurrect a season. One emotional breakdown can bury it. The Warriors understand this better than most, because they have lived both extremes. This is no longer a team chasing banners. It is a team fighting to remain dangerous. Stephen Curry's 26,000-point milestone will live forever in record books. But the story that may matter most in 2025-26 is quieter, more fragile, and far more human. A once untouchable star learning how to let go. A veteran core learning how to bend without breaking. And a franchise learning that survival sometimes demands humility. The Warriors are still alive. The question now is not whether they can win big, but whether they can endure long enough to matter.